When the Hebrew young people were taken into captivity and began their indoctrination into the culture of the Babylonians, they faced three crises. If our young people were faced with these three crises, would they be able to stand firm for the Lord? Welcome to Answers for Living. This indoctrination included names being changed, their diets being changed, and their language being changed. And indoctrination into the Babylonian culture produced these three crises. Crisis number one was an authority crisis. Would these young people stand firm for the truth that had been taught them by their parents, or would they leave that truth and embrace the philosophy and theories of the Babylonian scholars? At some point in time, this happens to every young adult Christian. They have a choice. Do I embrace the teachings of the world, or do I embrace the teachings of the Bible? Our schools and our universities work tirelessly to get young Christians to see Christianity as a religion of weakness. Crisis number two is a moral crisis. Would these young people develop appetites for the finer things of the Babylonian culture, or would they continue to follow God? The world does a great job changing our kids' desires, of brainwashing us. They do it through the media, they do it through music, TV, magazine, TikTok, and many other things that young people get involved in. And they make them more interested in the things of the world instead of the things of God. Now remember, the goal of Babylon is to change these men so that they can serve the king. The problem was ultimately they would serve the wrong king. Not serving the king of Babylon being wrong, but they would serve Satan. Now Daniel and his three buddies made a decision. They said, we will not eat the king's food. It is food that they believed would be defiling. And they made a decision to be faithful to Jehovah God. So they went and they asked Ashpenaz if they could just drink water and eat vegetables because they didn't want to defile themselves. Now they didn't say, hey, we hate their food, we're not eating it. They politely asked permission and asked to be tested. When their first attempt went through, Ashpenaz said no. So then they asked again to be tested for 10 days. And they trusted God to make them fit for service without defiling themselves. Oh, may we as adults demonstrate to our teenagers that we truly believe that the only way to go forward with God is to be faithful in the little things. Now, crisis number three was an identity crisis. Their names were changed so that every time their name was called, they would remember the Babylonian god that they were named after. Why these three changes? First, to change their view on life. Second, to change their identity. Third, to mold them so that they would serve the king of Babylon and Babylon's false gods. The goal was to turn them into Babylonian leaders committed to Bel and Babylon. Now, how many of your young people who have been raised in godly families, how many of them have wandered from the faith? How many of them have bought into the philosophies and the teachings and the morality of the world and no longer serve God? Oh, Satan's tactics have never changed. And he never quits trying to take the church's finest young people and get them to serve him and not God.